I think it came to me naturally to start with stop motion. This kind of made the most sense. I was deeply impressed by Aardman animations like Wallace and Gromit and those that I've seen when I was like maybe 13, 15, something like this. And this is when I started like to do stop motion films with people at school. Like we made like a working group just to create our own films in some old locker room of the school. And yeah, when I came to university, I started to do this more professionally, but also I studied in a film class, so I was on live action films. Then it made total sense for me to connect those two different worlds, like the animation and the live action world. That's how other techniques found their way into my films, I think. Over the years, I started more and more techniques to the stop motion, for example, also 3D. And yeah, I added also, obviously live action footage. And in recent years, also puppeteering, which is, super different approach. It comes with more surprises. It's in a way, it felt more alive for me at this specific time, because there were more coincidences coming in. Also because you have more puppeteers, more people in the room who are the puppeteers, and they will bring their own personalities. So this felt very much alive for me and was a good contrast to the highly controllable stop motion part. I'm working with super complicated techniques. Hybrid techniques always have come with many problems. You need to clean the material, you need to remove rigs, for example. And so post-production is always very complicated. And this is why I have to remind myself very often that in the end, filmmaking is not about technique. Filmmaking is about making a connection with the audience. This is way more important. And so in the end, all that counts is story. The only question that matters is if the emotion comes across. Sog was a dystopic drama about how violence arises if somebody tries to protect their own comfort zone too much, and if somebody closes up to the new, to the unknown. And after making this very heavy film, I felt like I need something more uplifting. That's how I decided that in the next film, all the characters should just smile. Nature always plays a big role in my films. I also have the elements quite present. We also recorded many of those already on set in camera, like fog and rain and even fire. So like the landscapes are quite important, and they play an important role also in the story. They bring something unpredictable into the game. Sog was also inspired by Slovenia, actually. I had been hiking here, and I was mostly deeply impressed by the caves. So Škocjanske jame made it quite obviously into the film. In both Sog and so on, I picture groups. So I'm very interested in group dynamics. Also inspired, for example, by William Golding's Lord of the Flies, who discovers also how violence arises, which Sog is about. So I'm very interested in how the characters interact. And mostly my camera is quite zoomed out, so I observe people from a bit of a distance and see how they behave. For example, in situations like in Sog, when those fish get stuck in those trees in front of their cave. So this is a moment where we can see interesting details about human behavior in the end, even though those creatures are not human. Yeah, quite often actually you don't realize exactly what you were talking about while you were making the film, and it's only later on the festivals that you really understand what this was about. And I think it was also the case here with So On, when I got like feedback from audiences, and like looking back at that time when I made it, I realized that I actually tried to talk about my approach to being happier in life. Also because at that time, while I was doing the film, I wasn't in the best shape mentally. People came with very different interpretations of So On. So I think the film was open enough for people to project their own ideas into this, which is, I think, a good thing. So, I mean, as a filmmaker, I don't want to give answers. I don't want to tell people what I want to say. I want to rather ask them, what do you connect? What do you make from what you saw? So in the end, as a filmmaker, I want to ask questions rather than giving answers. Yeah, actually, it helped Zog a lot to get around in the world and to be shown at film festivals. That people saw it as a commentary on the so-called refugee crisis, which actually happened 2 years after the script was written. So the film was still in production while so many people fled to Germany in 2015 and 16. So yeah, it helped the film a lot to be seen in that way, to get around actually. While originally I was planning to do a film about like nightly disturbances, like fights between neighbors actually. Germany obviously has a lot of money, but not for short films. Unfortunately, the funding system doesn't provide much. So what happens is that animation filmmakers, independent ones, do stay a lot on their own, and they cannot really afford paying bigger teams, which is also why it takes way longer than necessary to make films and to come to a result. Yeah, and a festival like Animateka is also a place where connections between filmmakers happen that maybe lead to collaborations like international co-productions. So this is an important thing for me to meet people who experience the same challenges to finance short films. Yeah, it's always funny, like, to have like so many introverted animators on one spot, and I totally think this counts for me as well. Like, I'm not somebody who speaks in front of audiences a lot, and I feel very insecure with this, and that's why I make films. And so I don't have to talk. I can rather show something instead.